In this video, I will focus on, well, okay, we have GIS open, we have ArcMap opened, and we want to do something. Where do we start? The first thing we need is to have a shapefile for our data, and the next thing is to get the data to go with it and then to map it. So the way to get the data, if it's US data, we can go out to www.census.gov. We go out to census.gov and go to geography, maps and data. Might make a shortcut to this location, and under there we want to go to Tiger products. Tiger is are the shape files basically. Under Tiger products, we want to go to the shape files, the new 2017 shape files. And here you can actually pick your year. Well, so we've selected 2017, and we'll go to download and use the web interface. And here we get to make our choices. So we can select any of the years available here, the last 10 years or so. But most importantly, the layer type refers to the geography. Well, let's say we want to look at U.S. Counties, every county in the U.S. So we'll select counties and equivalent. What you might see is we can get census tracts, we can get congressional districts, we can get county subdivisions, which are things like towns, school districts, states, various sorts of definitions of places, core-based statistical areas, which are metropolitan, micropolitan areas. So let's work on counties for the moment, but any of these would work. So we'll hit your 2017 county boundaries and submit. And we'll download the national file. And it will download it to a zip file. And you can use whichever zip file, unzipper that you want here. This one is going to, okay, there we go. This loads it into WinZip, and we'll unzip it to a folder. It's important in GIS to organize data, which I don't do as well, but I'm trying to do it for these videos. So in my GIS folder, I have a folder called Counties, and I'll hit unzip. And okay, that loads it into our counties folder with this group of files collectively are called the shapefile. They're needed for various purposes, but now that we have it there, we can, I can close the zip file, and I can close the census here. And now we can open in our ArcMap, we can go to add data, and we have to navigate to the location that we're dealing with here. If you're using it on a public machine or something like that, you want to use Connect to Folder. And that will let you search the PC that you're using to find the place where you want it. Like here I want to connect to my GIS folder. And in that folder, I have a place for counties. And this is what I just downloaded. So this is the U.S. County shapefile. It's a Tiger line data for 2017. If I select that and add, we get the data with every county in the U.S. and its territories for that matter. If we're mainly focusing on the continental U.S., GIS, by the way, is more useful for contiguous places. Alaska, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, some others, American Samoa, and various places are there. But for GIS purposes, usually we are looking at contiguous places. So these are all the counties in the U.S. If we look at what is in the attribute table for it, every shapefile has an attribute table. It contains information, various information about about each county. So there are 3,233 counties listed here. Again, some are outside the continental U.S. And we get information about land area and stuff. Most important for our purpose is the GEO ID. What the GEO ID is is, as you can probably see from this, each state has a FIPS code, Federal Information Processing Standard. The first 2 digits are the state's FIPS code. The next 3 digits are the code for the county within the state. So each state begins with 001, then 003. They're all odd numbers, I guess, so that new counties could be added. So GEOID is our key term that we'll be using here to be joining things to it. Well, we need some data. So I'll close this for the moment. And we need to get some data. So let me go out to Google here. Doesn't matter where we go. We need to get to Fact Finder. So factfinder.census.gov is the best place to get census data. So we'll go to there. And to navigate this, it takes a while to get used to, but the easiest way that I found to do it is go to Advanced Search, Show Me All. And that gives you a dialog that I begin with geographies. It's the second one. So geographies, select the geography type, and I guess we could try. I've never tried all, but the most requested of the kind we're working with here. We want counties. So we'll select county and all counties within the United States and add to your selection. What that does is to put up in the selection box here, we want all counties in the U.S. Remember, we're gathering the data here. We already have the shapefile. If we wanted only counties in a given state, we can go to the state dialog box and select the state. And then we would tell it to add that to our selections. But for the moment, we want all counties within the U.S. Once we've selected the geography, we can tell it close. And we want to search for what kind of information we want. So we have pages and pages of information. I would narrow it down for economic purposes. DP03 is the economic characteristics file. Hit go with that, and we get selected economic characteristics in DP03. And this from the American Community Survey, the ACS 5-year estimates. We can get that one for the most recent one is for 2016, which are the 5 years ending in 2016. We could also get it, by the way, all the way back to the first 5-year estimate is for 2009. We could select any or all of the DP03s from any of these years. To keep it simple, I'll just work with the most recent one. And to see what you're going to get, you can click on it, and it will give you a listing of the variables that are in that file. And if we scroll down through it, it gives us employment status, employed, unemployed, not in the labor force, and so on. Commuting information, occupation information, the number of people in each county and the percent of the population in each occupation or industry. Or further on down, we get information like income estimates by category, the median, mean income, mean earnings, mean Social Security income. So we get a lot of that kind of information. We get by category, median family income, health insurance information, percent covered by health insurance, for example. Employment status and employment status with or without health insurance. Lots of information we get in here. And then we get poverty level information. So this is a good, very broad set of information to get. So if I go back to where I was here on the previous page, we selected that one, and I'll hit download here. It creates a zip file. It creates these files on the fly, evidently. So it's creating the file from a much larger data set. And as soon as it finishes creating the file, it will let us download it. It's a fairly large file. It has over 3,000 geographies, 3,000 counties. when it's finished creating it, we can then go to download. It creates a zip file for us. We go to OK on that. It will download and open the zip file. And we can extract that on the unzip to a selected location. Make sure it's in the same folder as the shapefile is. So the counties folder, and we'll unzip it to there. And once it's unzipped, here we have our counties folder. So we know it contains the shapefile, which is this collection of files. And the two files of importance to us here, one is the metadata, which tells you what the variable name is for each variable, and the larger file, the CSV file that ends with annual and data, is the actual data file. So let's look at the metadata file first. They're both CSV files. By default, they open in Excel. If not, you want to tell it to do that. The way the files are arranged is for something like employment status, for example. Each one has an HC01 through HC04. The 01 is always the count, the actual number. The 02 is the error margin that goes with that one. The 03, if relevant, is the percent of the total, and then is the error margin for the percent. So if we wanted, for example, median family income, I know that's VC 114. So if we scroll down here to VC 114, just to show what we're getting, in the VC 114 group, oh, too far. If we wanted the median family income, if we wanted household income, by the way, it's in 85, the VC 85. So we get the actual number here. And so if this is what we want to map, okay, this is the one we want to take. So we want HC01 VC 114. Now that data, those data are in the, where are we? Here we go. Are in the file that contains the actual data. So if we double click on that one, okay, we want to get over, let's be able to see everything. So I'll highlight the whole sheet, and under format I'll tell it to adjust the column width so we see the whole thing. We want to get out to VC 114 for family income. So I'll scroll it over till we get to 114. There's 112. So the column we're interested in is VC 114, HC01. So this is the median family income for each county. Now, what we need to do to make this joinable in ArcMap, let's copy this column on the letter MF on the column head, and we'll hit copy on that. We need to open a new spreadsheet. We don't need to, but it's much easier if we do. So File, New, I'll make a new spreadsheet. And I forgot to do a few things, so I will put this in about the E column. Right click and then paste it there. So this is the information that we just copied. The first thing we should have done is to get the location information from that same file. So we'll go back to Excel, back to the file that this came from, and we need to get the first few columns. So let's take A, B, and C. Highlight those and paste them right in front in the file we're creating. The file we're creating is the one we will use for the join. So I'll paste that here. So now what we have, looking at what we have, Autofit column width. So there we go. We have the data that we're interested in, and we have an ID number in two different formats, by the way. The ID numbers in column A here are in text format, which we can tell in that they're left justified. They appear left justified. The ID2 column is in numeric format. It's more difficult to work with numeric format, so we really want it in text format. The only issue is that all of them begin with 05 and a bunch of zeros followed by US. We really just want the last 5 digits there. The last 5 digits are in fact the FIPS code. The first 2 of those are the state. The next 3 of those are the county within the state. So the way we can do that is to insert a column B. Click on B, then right click and tell it to insert a column. Okay. And we want to just grab the columns after the S in US and put them in this column in text format. Easy way to do that. Highlight the column you want to take it from, go to Data, Text to Columns, and we'll use delimited since everything after the S we want to take. So we could use fixed, but delimited is easy for this one. So go to Next. The delimiter is not the tab. Click Other and tell it the S for the S in US. What that will do, we'll keep the first part of it to the left of the S in the first column, and we can throw that away, but the second column will have the 5 digits following the S. So we'll tell it Next. And an important step here is, we're okay with this. This is fine. Maybe I should do it. The column we're going to keep, it's best if it is not in general format. That sometimes converts it to a number since they appear to be numbers. We want to tell it to make sure that that column is in text format. And then we can go to Finish. So what we end up with is a column in text format with the FIPS codes. We'll call it GEOID since that's what they call it in ArcMap. All right, so now we can get rid of the first column here. We can right click and delete that one. We can keep this one in the event we need to have numeric format. I leave it there. All right, now the format that we need for joining is the file we're using to join must have just one row with the variable names and followed by the second row from there on down with the data. So we have one extra row here that we don't need. So let's put our headings up in, let's say, in the top row. So we'll call this GEOID because that will match the name that it's looking for in ArcMap in the shapefile. And this one is the GEOID in numeric format. I like to keep it because sometimes we need that. GEOID, N for numeric format. We can call this name. And we don't need column D. I did an extra column there. I'll delete that one. And this one, we have to pick a variable name that is suitable for use in ArcMap. The limitations are 9 characters, no spaces or special characters, except possibly an underscore, and you cannot begin with a number. So let's call this family income, or some abbreviation for that. I like to use upper and lower. And this is, we'll just leave it at that, family income, maybe median. So I have 9 characters there, and that's fine. So these will become our variable names. We'll remove the second row here, the one that we need to get rid of. We'll delete that one. So now we have the basic information we need. We can make it look nicer, highlight the whole sheet, go to back to home again, and then go to Format, Autofit Column Width. So this is our basic data sheet we're going to use for joining. So it has the GEOID in text format, which we'll use for joining. Sometimes we have the need for it in numeric format, so there it is. And the name of the place and the median family income data. Let's give this sheet a name. A workbook can have many sheets. So this is median family income. It can be the same as the column we're getting. See, we could add other columns to this from that same from the same worksheet that we downloaded. For the moment, we'll just take this one. And so that's the name of the sheet. This is the name that will appear in the ArcMap table of contents. So let's save this as a file. The file we need to save it as, that works best, is if we save it as, under Save As, and browse for the place. So go to the place I'm putting this in, which is on my E drive there, under Counties. And it will not work correctly if it's in XLSX format. We have to use the file type, which is the one that was previously used by Excel, namely the Excel 97 to 2003 workbook, which is XLS format. ArcMap does not read well the XLSX format. And we'll give it a name. And so this is median family. The length of the file itself doesn't seem to matter. This is from the 2016 ACS file. You can make the name as descriptive as you want here and hit save on that one. And so now what appears in that, well, we do need to close the Excel sheet. ArcMap will not work correctly if the Excel sheet is open in Excel. These other ones doesn't matter. We just use it to derive the data. So now if we go back to ArcMap, we can now, on the Add Data button, the black plus sign there, Add Data, we now have median family income as the Excel file in XLS format, the file we just worked with. We'll add that. Median family income is the sheet we are reading from. There could be multiple sheets in a workbook. And we'll hit Add. And now to look at what we're doing, we will first open the attribute table on the shapefile, which we saw a little while ago. And we'll also open the spreadsheet that we uploaded. Hit open on that one. And I'll set it up so we can see both at once. Table options. And we're going to arrange tables horizontal. So now we can see them both. So here we have the GEO ID, which is the FIPS code for each county in the shapefile. And down here in the Excel file, we've also named the column that should match it as GEO ID. So you can see they're both left justified. That's important to notice. That means they're both in text format. This is the one that came in numeric format. By the way, our numbers are in numeric format, which also needs to be the case. So now we can join these two by joining the geoid in the shapefile to the geoid column in the Excel file. All right, so joining always has to begin with the shapefile. You cannot do it the other way around. Right-click on the shapefile. We'll joins and relates. We'll do a join. We'll tell it in the shapefile we want the GEOID column in that one, and to match the GEOID column in this one. Say the issue is there could be two files here, either name or GEOID. They are both in text format. So we could have used either. The danger, of course, with using name is here the name has like Alabama, or it has the comma followed by the name of the state, whereas in the other file it does not. So we couldn't join that one to this because they're not exactly the same. If you're using spelling as a join, that's risky because they must have exact spacing and exact characters. So we don't want to use anything but the geoid. Say OK to that. What that does is it adds the column, the family income here. We get some nulls. Let's say that null. Let's see what that's for. it is for a county where we don't have data. If counties are too small, very often we don't get the data for them. All right, so we know it's there, and I'll make sure nothing is selected here. And now we can, on the shapefile, we can double-click on it, or go to Properties, Symbology. Here, we double-click on it, we get to the Properties layer by double-clicking. Make sure to select Symbology, make sure to select Quantities, and on the value, we want to take the median family income. And that will throw it into ranges for us. We can now click OK, and there's a map of our median family income by county in the continental United States. So certain things are obvious immediately from this, which may not be so obvious otherwise. One of them is that the higher family incomes are along sort of the I-95 corridor from northern Virginia up to Massachusetts and into New Hampshire. Lower median family incomes in the South, for example, and they vary in other parts of the country. By the way, once we're looking at the shapefile, if I open the attribute table again, if we go back to here and we right-click on median family income and tell it statistics, we can get the unweighted or equally weighted frequency distribution of the counties. So we have 3,100 counties are in our data set here. The smaller counties are not there. We get them. The minimum is about 22,500. The maximum is 168,000. So a wide variety there. Standard deviation of like 14,000. So we get a distribution of what it looks like. And we have 91 null, so there are 91 counties we don't have data for. But this is the basic way that you want to obtain data for. If it's U.S. Census Bureau data, we can get that fairly easily and we can map it. So this is the way to get shapefiles. Again, we could do it for any geography, congressional districts or towns or whatever, or states or metropolitan areas, anything which you saw back when we got the shapefiles. So this is the basic thing we're doing to get the files in there. Other videos will show how to make it look nicer and all of that, but this is the basic way that we can get a look at what the data look like.